Anyone remember back in 2016 when first world problems were literally things like forgetting to hit send on a text or telling yourself not to buy unnecessary things from Target, but then doing so anyways? And nowadays, first world problems are literally things like struggling to feed yourself as a full time student, full time employee, whilst living in a moldy apartment, while rich people constantly tell you that the economy is actually doing good because their passive income streams are doing better than ever, and that your very real struggles are simply individual faults because you don't work hard enough and you don't have a strong enough work ethic. Anyone think that avoiding real political issues are exactly what people in real positions of power want from the common folk so they can do whatever decisions they want, good or bad, and get away with it? Because to open the debate of whether this or that bill slash law being a path of our country should take is such a loaded can of worms that not even the most intelligent people of this century want to partake in. And the best part of this information overload propaganda is that we somehow now collectively associate people who talk politics, whether it be podcasts, online forums, or the literal presidential debate, to be less smart than us, the average American. Like it or not, the people with the loudest voices are actually very influential towards thought processes of other Americans. That whole, oh no, you speak political, you know brain cell, me many brain cell, me watch the sinking ship happen without ever opening up my mouth because the conversation just isn't worth it, is very smart. I know these thoughts are coming out way too late considering the presidential election was the beginning of this month, but I've been struggle busing. Need I point to the one ply roll of toilet paper I've been using as paper towels for the last year? In any case, my faith in the election has been lost ever since I found out that in 2016 Hillary actually won the popular vote, but then lost the electoral vote. Middle school me was baffled, but who could I ask around me? Every single person around me, whether it be parents, colleagues, or even teachers, and especially the internet, they all had their own ideals for what is and isn't, and why things function the way that they do, or why things don't function the way that they should. American politics currently sits as a weird subject. It's one of those things where nothing is absolute and nothing ever has to be true or real to be validated by politics. You can say absolute formulas and statements and be accepted across the board in any other branch of modern society. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Water expands as it freezes. But you can't say things like inflation is caused by without there being multiple interpretations and ideas of what exactly caused it. The best part is we can Google this. So many .org, .gov answers, but I mean, let me
Let me
ask
ask
the
the
audience,
audience.
what is your answer to inflation? How come every time that question is asked, there is like utter debauchery amongst every pseudo intellectual or finance bro answering literally every person just trying to make a quick joke or perhaps a shock value TikTok in hopes of going viral and escaping their means of economic confinement. Oh, just print some more money. More stitches of that TikTok very likely printed that person some good money. Do y'all feel the air right now? The amount of wild out of pocket statements, the collision of huge disagreements on such a large nationwide scale. The tension, the fact that nobody wants to jump in it, or if they are already in it, then they don't want to admit that they're wrong and will instead start arguing about something completely different. That's exactly what political figures thrive on. The confusion doesn't benefit anyone but the person sitting on the elected high chair, claiming the majority of that sweet, sweet taxpayer money, only to make minimal changes to a system that benefited them enough for them to get elected in the first place. I am so tired of having multiple old customers walk in and complain about literally everything from the stickiness of the door handle to the fact that there's now a glass barrier preventing them from invading health codes by sticking their hot breath over the counter. And then when they do make small talk, it's all about working hard and then eventually benefiting from the hard work in the form of passive income. Sir, ma'am, I can assure you that the money that you are so smugly hoarding right now will be the reason why the only tears shed over your eventual passing will be at the reading of the will and not your funeral. But I still don't understand. Why are we, as underappreciated, underprivileged Americans, not coming together and instead hating on each other? I absolutely dread going home this holiday season to spend another year with people who complain about tax breaks in the same table as the rich family benefiting from those tax breaks, while a completely different group of people are complaining about the poor being given too many financial benefits, while they average under 20K a year, yet collectively donning more designer brands than anyone else at the table. I hate seeing another kid with drive, ambition, and actual good thoughts to be shut down before they even have a chance to speak at the podium. I'm gonna be honest, I am quite terrified about speaking on things like this, especially as an Asian American, because although I run red, white, and blue as much as the next person, there is internalized racism inside of me and doubt speaking to me that says the folks listening will never be able to resonate as much with a person of color as much as they could with an idealized white man in American culture. As it stands, the US kind of sits like a tangled ball of yarn, all messed up and twisted. Somewhere in there is societal misogyny, human rights over there, and if you tug at this point, you get structural racism. But wait, if you pull on it, it gets blocked by gun rights and drug abuse. The saddest thing is, we can't even acknowledge the ball of yarn because it's connected to an even bigger ball of yarn. The perfectly shaped, even lined ball of yarn that only some people ever get to access. The rich and powerful don't acknowledge the tangled up ball of yarn because it exists to lift them up. That's why there's never any backlash for when rich people vote for their own tax breaks and whatnot, because we simply see it as them choosing self-preservation, even if that self-preservation only continues other people's suffering. So what can happen for the common man making 60K a year? And what happens for the 50% making below that, the 7.4 making 15K? The American dream feeds us the idea that, oh, eventually we'll be in the 15% that makes over 200K. But is it actually gonna happen soon? Scott made a video a while back on the topic of immigration and birth rates that honestly is genuinely pretty terrifying. The idea with a graying of a nation, meaning the average age increasing and not enough childbirth to replenish the Asian population, people are only going to grow older. So, how do you balance out a nation that is actively dying out by not having kids? You have immigrants. The idea of constantly bringing in new immigrants so that older immigrants can work their way up and then there's some sort of like weird elitist top just is genuinely terrifying stuff to me. Normally their videos offer respite towards the end. The respite in this video includes things like cheaper housing, affordable and possibly free and accessible childcare, and a work home lifestyle that reinforces familial values as well as a culture shift towards familial values. Does it look like anyone on that ballot is fighting for any of those things right now? In the video, they talked about how, as the graying of a nation goes on, it leads towards the graying population wanting to vote towards things like preserving wealth and keeping their way of life together as long as possible, foregoing movement in things like science and technology, leading towards a society that cannot handle issues like, Lord forbid the conflict from me saying this word, but climate change. Unfortunately, this doesn't protect any of us young, broke people. Talking towards our supposedly trusted adults about these struggles are met with very little understanding. We have no power. When the economy falls, we fall first. The pangs of hunger and fears of homelessness in our youth preventing us from making any proper societal moves, and instead only keeps us from gathering and spending time fighting the good fight. Honestly, I have no solution, and I had no solution going into this video. Does this look like,
Kurz gesagt,
to you? Maybe we can do some manifest destiny of our own. Move out to some extremely uninhabited area of Midwest America and attempt to gather a large population there via TikTok lives and social media outlets in hope of creating a new economy powerhouse that can allow us to build our wealth greater than our elders. Maybe we just toss a Hail Mary and vote in ChatGPT 4.0 as our next president, leading us to once again become a pioneering country that pushes the future onto the world. In any case, if this video gets any traction, I will be fighting my inner demons from starting a Patreon and securing financial stability. But if you watch, you can go ahead and subscribe to my only